Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Camp Time is Real Time. It's me, Sarah Lebrecq. I'm your host, and Happy New Year. We've got a great one today. It's Susie Krause, as you may have known her from the 1990s. What I contend maybe the golden era of camp. But you know what? I think every era is the golden era. So there's that. So this is an awesome conversation about how she came to be at camp because she didn't grow up there, which is, you're not going to believe it, a thing that used to happen at FCDC. Once she got there, she was in. And she only was there for a little bit of time, but boy, did she leave a mark. So we have great conversations. Susie has a couple of kids at camp now, which is awesome. And it was just really fun talking to her. And Bill's on this one too. And it's just wonderful. So I hope everybody had a happy new year. It's 2023, guys. So we're getting there. Very exciting. Sorry for the little hiatus. Got a little bit of the ye old COVID. But that seems to be going away out of my system, which is nice. And yeah, I'm looking forward to putting up more camp content. We have some very fun things coming up. So you're going to love it. So stick around, enjoy this one, and we will talk very soon. Bye. Did you know Bill to be like, hey, I'll see you guys in 6 weeks? Like, goodbye. Did you know about the camp before you got there?
So I don't, Bill, we were friends before camp,
Mhm.
but I didn't see him in the summer. So we weren't friends in the summer. No, like he would just go
Well,
away.
I mean, that was similar to the question that I was going to ask you about that. And it was basically like you knew of camp through Karen, she
Yeah,
was there before you, and then you knew of it through us.
right.
What were your thoughts about what camp was while we were gone?
I'm like, oh, it sounds like a cool place to go and work. I didn't I don't think we as counselors back in the day thought it was as cool as I think now we think it's as cool. I think we knew it was fun, but I don't think we knew it was a moment or magical, or maybe at least
Mhm.
I did, or it wasn't conveyed to me. Um, Karen's like, oh yeah, it's fun, and Tom's like, hey, do you want to do it? I'm like, sure. Like there was no vetting process, there was no interview, there was no. I'm like, yeah, I'll work at camp. Like it was like,
Yeah.
here you go.
Well, Tom will say though the vetting process is that he knew you really
Yeah,
well, like from like coaching and teaching. So
yeah, he was my basketball coach, and Mrs. Cowell was our phys ed teacher, and like, yeah, so
yeah.
No need for interviews,
no.
I feel. Mhm.
No. So when because Karen was there a year before you, did you hang out with those guys at all? Like with her that whole
No, it's
really?
yeah, it's a very tight knit group,
Yeah.
because I don't know if they when if they I think what happened was they'd say, okay, this is where we're going tonight at camp. They'd go.
Yeah, it was isolated at that point to the people that worked there.
No, and I was good friends with Julie Dabanowitz and Amy Glennon. Like they were my friends. And I never went to camp parties. And Bill was my friend, never went to camp parties. Like it's a separate world.
Yeah.
And I
That's
think for Bill, it was to meet the chicks. And I think he wanted to keep the Medfield chicks separate from
Right,
mostly Franklin.
right. Keep those stories away.
Yes.
Then they started blending.
And then they started
And
blending. I mean,
yeah.
just camping alone, like when we would go camping, oh my gosh, that's not a good idea. Taking canoes from camp and going out to that island in Foxborough, not Foxborough, and
Norton.
Mansfield,
Mansfield, Norton. Yeah.
and listen to concerts. What are we? No.
Were you the years you were there, were you part of the crew that was going like every weekend out camping?
I only went one. I'm not a camper. I did it once or maybe a few times, but not every weekend.
She missed that early time frame when we started it. So
Okay.
when she got there, we were still doing it, but um, she was not part of the original
And let's
camper.
let's never let her forget that.
No, I mean, she would have been welcome, of course, but she had, you need those W-2s. That's the ticket.
I think you happen to be there some of like the greatest years camp has ever had.
Oh, I lucked into it. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Like, there's no rhyme or reason how you get to be a part of camp, but you get to be a part of camp, and that's amazing.
Yeah.
I was there definitely the summer of 94, definitely the summer of 95. And I think it was 2 or 3 years. And what's so sad is I don't remember, which is crazy. And it was so much fun, and you met so many nice people, and it was also cheesy fun too. As much as we talk about the debauchery and all that stuff, there's a lot of really just fun things. Like we would be out and we'd sing a camp song in the middle of a restaurant or whatever. Like it's random. It's fun.
Yeah. You were in junior camp, right? The first year.
First year.
And you mentioned how that totally different experience than.
Oh, it's the best experience. You get to go to camp. Like
Yeah.
you get to go visit your friends all day long and tie a shoe every 5 minutes and wipe the nose. But other than that, you are going to camp, and you get to see what everyone does all day. You get to understand what woodlore is, because I still don't really know.
Right. Sure.
And you got to be with Bonnie, which is always a win. And you take the little kids everywhere and go to camp.
Wow.
Do you remember your early impressions, Susie? Like even when you walked into orientation, right?
I was overwhelmed because this was very brand new to me. Like I've babysat before, I coached kids in sports and stuff, but a camp itself that's only focused on campers and what we do all day, no idea what that meant. And I remember my sister all summer was like, I'm certified. I'm certified in archery. Like it was a huge deal to be certified in your craft per se.
Right.
Because you had to go away and you had to like take the class. And she was legit proud of herself and excited to be certified because it came up a lot. And so I knew you had to be certified to do archery. I knew there was archery. I didn't know I never went. I never really went to camp as a kid. I went to Girl Scout camp where we cleaned latrines and it was not fun. This is a fun camp. Yeah. Listen, full of hard knocks right here. You don't even know. Wow. So then you drive in and you see like a bear-shaped tree and the dragon and you're like, am I in Disneyland? Like, what is this?
Right. Yeah.
And then I talked to you last time, there's that smell of camp, and you get there, you're like, camp. Like, okay, this is good. This is gonna be great. And then I think I got lucky because I just had to follow Bonnie's lead and kind of babysit and hang out all day. It's a good gig.
I have these memories of you in arts and crafts. I don't know if there was 2 years in arts and crafts, but I mean that's certainly where I remember you the most was up there.
Yeah, I was an assistant in arts and crafts, and 1 year I filled in for all the people who were getting married. So arts and crafts, and I can't remember her name.
Leanne.
Yep. She got married, so I was the head counselor there, and then I was the head counselor for theater for 2 weeks or a week because they left. So I was like this fill-in head counselor, which was very stressful because I didn't know what I was doing. and I was like, okay, and I'm not an artist,
right?
But I could do theater. That was fine. And I remembered The Lion King just came out, and I had all the kids start singing. I can't wait to be king.
Nice.
It was very cute. And I'm like, is this what I'm supposed to, like, there's no training. At least I didn't feel like it for me. It was like, oh, you've been at camp for a year now. You can figure what needs to be done. And you did. Yeah. And they wouldn't let me fire up the kiln, which was a good call on there. Very good call. We did like the necklaces and stuff and then let it dry and did some painting. So that, yeah, should not be in arts and crafts. That's
Yeah, backup role is a weird thing at camp. Like I remember my assistant years, I was the head in pioneering for a couple of days, because someone was out. I forget exactly what the story was, but there I was, the pioneering head counselor for a couple of days. I was going, anybody want to use the axe on this wood? And that was kind of what happened for 2 days.
that's basically what happened. Like
Yeah.
here,
Once you got there, like your first year, did it take you long to be like, all right, I kind of get what this is. I'm going to like kind of let my freak flag fly? Or like, I can't remember. Were you up at Sing at all? Or what? Like, what's your thing?
I think one of my biggest challenges was, honestly, I didn't know a lot of Sing songs.
Yeah.
So you feel like an idiot not being able to, because I wanted to be part of it. I wanted to be, there, but these are all brand new songs to me.
Right.
Finally got, my head, shoulders, knees, and toes. Got that one pretty quickly.
Sure.
Black Socks, still a favorite in our house. But like the green grass grows all around the green, like I still don't know every word to that. And it's terrifying and sad all at the same time.
Sing's the best. Sing was great as a counselor for two reasons. One, you got to see everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But two, was a break.
Yes.
Like you didn't have to quote work at that time.
That's right.
You were part and so that's why Sing was, and Sing's obviously just great.
Right.
I always start my kids now. I'm like, I'm coming to Sing. They're like, no. I'm like, no, I'm gonna come. And then they'll be like, oh, we saw Uncle Billy. I'm like, of course you did.
Right. Of course he was there.
I think it took me a while to warm up, but I will say I think because I knew Bill and my sister, and I saw what I'm like, oh, you can be nerdy here. You can be fun and again cheesy fun and silly and not really it's cheered upon when you go above and beyond like crazy. But and it's not like, oh, I can't believe Susie wore 3 hats to hat day. It was like, I can't believe Susie wore 3 hats to hat day. Like it was it's celebrated. I always got into like themes, like I loved all that stuff. That's where I was in my element.
Really?
Oh yeah. Love a dress up, love a theme, love like so when this is actually kind of funny, at least I think it is. So when I was the head counselor of theater that week, the theme was the 60s. And everybody was, in their tie-dye and stuff. I had all my kids who were all black and wear little berets. We made berets and they were beat poets.
Yes. I remember that. Yeah.
And I had them all write poetry and they and like there's no clapping, guys. We gotta just snap. And it's like, that's really odd. Like imagine the parents were like, dress my kid up in all black at camp. What are you doing? I can't beat poets. I was in my Jack Kerouac phase.
That's awesome. I can see Tom being like, yep. Like, yep, you nailed it. What was the difference between Tom? Because were you still in high school when you worked there?
I graduated. So, but I'm glad. I think it would have been really hard for me to know Tom and Mr. Cowell or Coach. Like it was very hard for me to turn off calling him Mr. Cowell.
Oh yeah.
And calling him then Tom. And now I still go to Mr. Cowell first, but it's much easier. Right. But yeah, I think that would be very confusing. Alice is one of her teachers in the high school is a counselor now. And I can't remember his name, but he does music.
Oh, John Sag.
Yes.
Yeah. The camper.
Teacher in Millis High. And so Millis High and Millis Middle School are the same building. And he'll like, hi, Alice. And she'll be like, hi, Mr. Like she knows the opposite.
Yeah.
Mia deals with that too. because Sam works at Mia's school.
That's right.
So,
I can imagine.
you know, she'll be like, I saw Sam today, and then, oops, Mr. Cowell, you know.
You're like, it's okay with me.
Yeah.
What
But I will say, you know, going back to Tom at school, I went through high school the entire time with Tom being the phys ed teacher, and it had tremendous perks.
after the first year and you know, second year at the end, were you like, yes, I like it here, I definitely want to come back if I can?
Yeah, you know, wasn't even a thought process of not coming back. It was
Yeah.
like, oh, next summer this is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Like it was not like, oh, I'm gonna explore some. No, I had a good gig going. I had camp during the day and a security guard at Great Woods at night.
Exactly.
Why would you mess that up?
I would say, and I was thinking about this today, I would say that Susie fell in love with camp faster than anyone I ever saw.
That's pretty good.
She loved it right away. She was totally enthralled. And for somebody that only did 2 years, she talks about it to this day more than anyone else I know that had such a short period of time. Right? Like she loves it.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's unlike any job you're ever gonna have.
It's so weird. It's
Yeah.
a weird, lovely, wonderful, wacky, fabulous place that does not exist anywhere else.
No. Yeah. Anywhere else or like for any other like time period.
Yeah.
It's like 6 weeks and
And
back.
I still feel like it was longer than 6 weeks. I know it was only 6 weeks. I get it. But I feel like we were there for 12 weeks in the summer. And I know there aren't 12 weeks in the summer, but it was not just 6 weeks. It felt longer.
Well, it was like every moment of those 6 weeks
Yes.
was dedicated to camp. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that was back. So you were a person, as I like to affectionately call, pulled off the streets to come work at camp.
Yeah.
And like we just don't do that anymore, right? Like there's just like no one ever wants to leave, and that's wonderful. But like I do maintain that we got some of our best people and they added some of the best stuff to camp. People who didn't grow up at camp, who just walked in and were like, oh, hey, I've been living this like regular existence. Like, guess what we do outside and bring it in. So, I don't know. I think that I think it's a two-way street. Like you really loved camp, but we were like grateful to have you there because you brought people, my peers still, they're like, oh, you remember Susie Krause? I'm like, sure do. So I think it's good.
It's my jam.
No question there. So
no question.
Both Krause girls brought an energy
big time
that was tremendous.
Yeah.
You know, they really did. They were nice additions, both of them, in a different way. They weren't the same.
No. And like it was like that, those like, whatever, call them like 4 or 5 years, whenever you want to start to finish, some of like the coolest counselors, like the best, like the fact that you guys were hanging out every single day, like I'm not sure that happens all the time anymore, but I believe it to be true. Like it's not hyperbole. You're out all the time.
Yeah, it didn't happen before that.
Yeah.
You know, because I was there. I mean, as a camper, you know, you were in tune with what was happening.
Yeah.
You know, while you were there. And then as a CIT in the late 80s, that wasn't happening. It was right in that magic time period that you always reference, that basically, you know, the summer of 91 through the summer of 96, 97.
Yeah.
Is when that stuff occurred, and it was just nonstop.
Yeah.
Camp was the existence. It was nighttime, daytime, nighttime, daytime, nighttime, every day.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you'd like pull, it was everyone too. Cause I remember when they'd have like, I remember like them announcing like it's 21 plus night. And like the next day, Bonnie would have like packed lunches for everyone. Do you remember this?
Yes.
Like I never did this, but I remember it being like a big thing at Flag. And I was like, I love that this is a thing that I know as a 9-year-old. Like, this is great. It, like everyone was in on it. I think it's awesome. Yeah. But no, those are like just, I don't know, some of the things that made that time period so great. And it happened to be that like you guys were kind of running the show as counselors, and me and my peers as like just coming into working there, we're kind of like reaping the benefits of being like, oh, okay, this is how camp can run and like continue to. And then I think almost like every generation has kind of like taken it to the next level. And then like, all right, if this is the baseline, like I guess like we're gonna do that. So I don't know. So I like I said, I think we have you guys to thank. I think you started.
I think we all have Bill Danner to thank.
Well, yeah.
I like legit Mr. Personality and Mr. Social guy, and you just want to. He just brings a party. He is a party, and everyone wants.
Look at his face. Party.
Well, I just was not, but because I was not a great organizer. If you want to give thanks on the organizing of those events, it was always Kelly, right?
Yeah.
Like Kelly was the mastermind of the of any event that was happening at night. Was my involvement was big in the regards of fun, sure, but I wasn't going to do any planning. That I can tell you.
But you let people know what's happening. But you let people know what was happening. And I think for me, because I, coming in from off the streets, having my inside track with Bill, I was already invited to the parties the first day. Yeah. Because Bill's like, yeah, no, she's cool. It's fine. Instead of like having to feel out like, is she cool? Is she weird? A little bit of both, but it was acceptable.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, that's an easy transition sometimes, you know what I mean? When a friend comes in, we talked about that with John Crowley too, that he knew a few people and it made his transition easier. I'm always fascinated talking to someone that came in knowing no one.
Yeah.
Right. And what's that like?
Right. Like, how did you even find this?
Well, has anyone come in knowing no one? I mean, I guess it's
well, Dave did, and I'm eager to get Dave on here, to talk to him. But there's been plenty. Leanne came in knowing no one. I mean, I could come up with countless names if I sat here and thought about it, but
from the past though, I think it doesn't happen that often anymore. But we got so much good stuff from those just regular people off the street, and it was a good mix, and it kind of helped like grow the catalog of everything that camp had to offer. It's I think camp today is amazing, how everyone loves every single aspect of it and knows it inside and out. But I think there's also something to be said of like still like building it back when it happened.
Yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of ways to transition in there, and Susie has kind of a unique one, right? Like, Medfield connection, a sisterly connection. Here she comes, and I find it interesting, all angles that somebody's walking into that place, because I grew up there, and for me it was so normal. But I'm always interested in somebody like, even just the fact that she said she didn't know the songs. Does that make you uncomfortable in singing? I would think that it would, right?
It was the worst.
Like Sarah and I we would never know that uncomfort. We were raised listening to those songs.
That's right.
But I would imagine you felt uncomfortable in singing, right? You probably dreaded it a little bit for the first couple of days.
First couple of days I dreaded it, but then I looked at it as a rest because someone else was leading and I wasn't taking care of anybody. Yeah. Especially at junior camp, they could sit and pay attention as much as they could. And then I learned crocodile. You just mouth along and you just don't get in trouble.
Oh yeah. So that was always watermelon for.
Yeah. Because I remember that being part of orientation. One of Tom's stops, like his check boxes is like, sing is the centerpiece of camp, blah, blah, blah.
Heartbeat, I think.
The heartbeat of camp. Yeah. And then if you don't know the words, you just say watermelon or I'm going to get you. So I can imagine if you don't know the songs, you're like, okay, like give me the tools to succeed, Tom, I guess. But
I'm always interested to see if people thought it was an intimidating place to be. Right? Did you come in and say, well, see that hierarchy, not just of Tom and Gail, but did you see it with Adam and Sam, right? Like Adam and Sam
were the cool kids. Oh, Adam and Sam were the cool kids. Mm-hmm. And boating was the cool place to hang. And
Who's in boating? Adam at that point?
Adam and
Yep.
Sam.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it was like, oh my God, that's where the cool kids are.
Yeah.
And, Bill and Tommy would be wandering around. Karen was in archery, and everyone's filling in the other places. But like you're like, oh, like there is a hierarchy and you want to be part of the cool kids. I luckily had a sister who was already a cool kid and a friend who was a cool kid. So that definitely helped me get into, at least in their orbit.
Yeah. So that's interesting because I always thought of, because are Sam and Adam, are they a little bit younger? Are they the
Adam,
same age?
I
as you?
believe Adam is a year older than Sam, I think.
I think Adam's my grade and Sam's a year younger.
Yes.
Okay.
And there was a year, I forgot about that until you just mentioned it. There was a year that Adam was the head and Sam was the assistant.
Yeah.
Which is so weird. I think looking back, here are these two best friends.
Yep.
And one of them had the opportunity to say, go get the lunches.
But you know what? It worked because but also Sam's dad is Tom. So really in the hierarchy of all things.
Right.
Well, I think also Sam was making the schedule at that point. So it was like, we all knew it was all heading that way. Yeah. So I say that because I always, if I had a printout of like everyone who was there, say in like 1994, I think my how old would I be? 13-year-old self would be able to be like, okay, here's who I think are friends. Here are the cool, here's who are all laughing and nodding their heads at the weird announcement in the morning that I don't understand, but like they all do, the like inside joke that's happening. Were they still firing clay in general when you were there, Susie?
I don't know. I think they were. I think
so.
they were.
Oh, really?
Remember who was your head when you were in ceramics?
She was the head.
I was the head for.
Oh, you were the head.
I was arts and crafts a week.
Oh, I see.
Ceramics a week.
But do you remember who was out?
Was it Bubba?
No, it wasn't him. No, I think it was that girl that we talked about with Corey. That girl, Kim. She had the short hair.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Second
and yes, they were still firing the kiln at that point. Yep.
Wow. Do they not fire the kiln now?
No, they just make clay.
Not for years and years and years. Like when I was working, my last year was
money for it.
Yeah. Well, you're not. You have a complimentary session. So exactly. No, as my last year was 2004, and there was not a kiln to be seen. And I think it was maybe a year or two before that. I think Gail was like, "This is a bad idea."
Yeah, it's not a great idea. And it was in the open too, I feel like kids could touch
it had like a one of those hook locks, right?
Yeah.
But the hook lock was on the outside.
Don't open the kiln.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, it was also in the very old barn or stables that I'm pretty sure the inspector was probably like, no kiln, just Play-Doh for these children. You're back in the neighborhood more or less, and when your kids got to tenderfoot age, did you have it in your mind before they were that age where you like
they're going to camp?
Yeah.
Oh, there was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I legitimately get the camp thing, fill it out day of, take my car, drive to the post office. First year, I definitely drove to Franklin to put it in Franklin, because my kids are not going to miss out because of a mistake of mine.
Right. The joy. Yeah.
Again, Sarah, like I said about Susie earlier about falling in love with camp, as a worker, she did the exact same thing as a mom. We would, Susie and I are very close outside of all of this, and we would have conversations as when they were infants about those kids going.
Nice.
She was locked in.
That's awesome.
And every year I have to drive the first day in the morning, the kids, and I sob as I drive in, and I'm like, you guys just don't know how lucky you are to be here. Mommy, of course it's this whole mommy never got to go here, but she knows how special it is. And, and they go up and then when Molly one year was the CIT and took Alice and Lukey, and I'm like, this is just the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
It was right.
Yeah.
That was awesome when you sent us that picture, because Molly, Alice, and Luke and Mia, they're like cousins.
Yeah.
And so
awesome.
when they pulled up and Molly came walking down, Susie took a snapshot. She sent it to me. She was like, "You'll never believe who got my kids out of the car."
That's awesome.
It was so great.
But of course that happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Of course that happened.
Right.
Yeah.
Was it magic? Was it set up? Who knows?
Yeah.
Don't care.
It doesn't matter. Yeah.
He was actually, I have to say, he was nervous about camp this year. It's the first year he was ever nervous.
Interesting.
And the reason is because he doesn't like the cold pool. Like, that's his thing. He hates the cold pool. And I don't think this happened this year, but they heat the pool this year?
No, what's happening is the climate is heating.
That's what I thought.
Yes,
So I've heard stories about that.
Yeah. I think it's it might be a hoax, but yeah, I'm pretty sure it's shifting or changing.
That was his thing.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, it's so cold. I'm like, but how's everything else? Oh, everything else is awesome.
Yeah.
But pool's too cold. I'm like, dude, focus on the positive. Like,
yeah.
But this year, like, both of my kids have said, oh, camp, it's just the happiest place on earth.
That's awesome.
And like, they come by it honestly. Obviously, I've poked the bear a bit of how great it is, but now it's on they're 9 and 11. They can choose whether they like it or not, which I was worried with Lukey this year. Like, is he going to go back? Like,
oh, right.
Because you're going back.
Yeah.
I just hope you enjoy doing it.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Because you can't stay here. And now we have those 3 sessions. So
and I'm not driving 2 places.
No.
So you're gonna have fun.
Well, it all comes back to when we were counselors. Like, it was mostly about us, and these kids have to, get in line. So
to this day, like, people will ask me about FCDC. I'm like, oh, it's the best for the counselors. I don't know what it's like for the kids. Don't really care.
Right.
But for us, it was fabulous.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Really a great time.
Yeah. And then at some point after we were there, they're like, all right, we're going to shift the focus to the children. So I guess it's good. But Bill and I joke about it all the time. We're like, we got the best of both worlds. It was great for us.
We really did.
It was great for our kids. So
yes, it is great for. I'm still so jealous that I was never a camper there.
Yeah.
And my kids are like, why weren't you a camper there? I go, my parents just didn't send me to camp.
Yeah.
It wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
I went to camp.
Huh.
I knew they existed. I went to a Girl Scout camp. I was horrible.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not a great time.
That's right. No.
Not a great time. Actually, clean latrines. Like, that was part of it. Like, that's, oh yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's one of those things where I could at least finally, I said to my kids, back in my day when I went to camp.
Love it.
Yeah. You guys have a thing. I was cleaning outdoor toilets.
Yeah.
So you can.
Yeah. You're welcome.
You win.
Yeah. Whoa. I'm surprised. It's funny because, like, hearing Tom being like, yeah, no, I was actively recruiting staff. Like, I'm surprised he wasn't recruiting campers too, to be honest with you. Like,
that's funny. He should have.
Yeah. So your oldest, Alice, is she going to be
This is her last year. I don't know what the new name is.
Whatever it's called. Yeah.
This is her last year as a camper.
Yeah.
Wait, what? That's not possible.
That doesn't sound right.
It doesn't sound right, but
yeah,
that's what happened.
And is she eyeing the CIT track?
All in, and
Love
she's
it.
like, I can't wait, because she's like, I can't wait to be an assistant counselor. I can't wait to be a counselor. And I showed her the pictures of the wedding, and she goes, "You can get married at camp. I'm going to get married at camp." I'm getting married at camp. I'm like, honey, we don't have an in for you.
Yeah,
we're at camp. No, I'm going to get married at camp.
They might raffle a wedding to you.
Yeah.
But legit, like, that's her plan.
I love it. That's awesome. So yeah, so she's got the bug.
Oh yeah.
That's That's awesome. So you get to live through them. It's good.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Kind of sad.
Exactly.
What I love, and you're gonna laugh at me, but every year I always make sure my husband drops the kids off at camp every morning, except for first day of camp. I do it. I take that on. I drive in. I cry a little bit because I get so excited for them.
Yeah.
And I open my window and I smell the smells and the CITs come out and like you get the goose. And I know it sounds so cheesy and weird or whatever, because it's like, what's wrong with you?
Right.
Camp.
No. Yep.
And I drive in and I start singing Black Socks or something to the kids as they get out of the car so I can embarrass them because that's my job now. And as I leave, I literally have tears running down my face because I'm so excited for them. I'm so like the greatness of camp, and they get it, and and it's the same. I remember dropping off my kids the first time, like my Alice the first time when she went to camp. I'm like, oh my God, nothing has changed. Nothing. And in the best way possible.
Right. Yeah.
In the absolute best way possible. I'm like, junior camp is still junior camp. I think it's probably still swing set, which is fine. I would look into it, but I'm sure it is. Right. The giant mound of sand. Everything is just the same.
It's like it's only been updated in ways that like made it better.
Yes.
Like the bones are all the same, but like some of the things they're doing are just like, it's 2022. Like this is whatever. I mean, what those things are, I don't know, but apparently that's what I've heard. But
I think storage is lovely for those poor counselors. Like, I swear, Sam was like carrying heavy things constantly, like across camp, just because they're trying to figure out where to put it. I swear to God.
Yeah, there is a tears in the eye thing, and like just a like gratitude that it's there, and just like I'm so happy that they get to be here. It's awesome every year.
People are still double parking. And you know, that's stressful at the end of the day. Oh no, I need to get home. And I love it. Nothing has changed.
It's the people, but also there's something else. I don't know what it is.
There's an aura in that place.
Yeah.
That everybody recognizes when they're there. Nobody can really put their finger on it.
Exactly.
I mean, Tom tried when we talked to him.
Sure did. Yeah.
You know? And he's a big part of that secret soup.
Yeah.
But he doesn't he doesn't know it all.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And it's also that it's summer. I think everyone has good memories in the summer.
Yeah.
I think that's part of it, but we don't talk about that part. It's the camp and the magic.
But Sarah, when you've met a lot of people, I've met a lot of people, Susie, of course, you've met a lot of people. Have you guys ever come across someone that has a connection to a summer camp the way that we all do?
No,
not really. No. So I will say this. I think a lot of people that went to overnight camps.
I was going to say, not a day camp.
Not a day camp. Yeah. I think people who went to overnight camps feel that same, because that's kind of what we created in a day camp, is that like you're away, you're 24/7 with the same people living in your bubble. Yeah. And we kind of created it. We're like, we're here for 8 hours, but then we're going to extend it. We're just going to do it. We've decided to make it an overnight camp. So I think that's probably part of it. But
Susie, that she just brought up a good point on in regards of the overnights. You would always heard the angle of the overnights, right? Like, the things that had gone on. Were you jealous that you had never experienced that?
I was slightly jealous that I never experienced it, because I'm like, oh, that sounds like fun. Like, that's a good time. But I think my anxiety level of keeping kids safe and alive would trump the fun I wanted to have. Yeah. So I think I'd be too nervous of what the kids were doing and getting lost and boating like that. That would be in my mind the whole time. I'm a whole lot of fun, is what I am. A whole lot of fun.
What Susie brought to camp was compliance.
Would you let your kids do overnights? Any of you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would. Yeah.
100%. Oh, yeah. Have you met those people who work at camp now? They're so much better than us.
Yeah, that's true.
They'd keep them safe. That would be fine.
The best video that I don't know how you got through was how to not be a camper, or the rules of being a camper. And there's you in the middle of the street, Bill, with a car, like a little toy car, and you're playing with a car in the middle of the road. Someone had to stop traffic, I'm sure, and you're like, and it was something like, make sure you don't play in the middle of the street, but like he made it look so fun that you wanted to play in the middle
I
of the
forgot
street.
all about that. Now it's starting to dawn on me. You're right. Yeah.
It was right outside the mini mart that's there. Oh, it was the
Yeah.
funniest thing on the face. It's like things, and then like it looked like you ran over somebody, a counselor. I
Yeah, it
swear
was,
to God,
I
like,
forget exactly what the title of that was, but it was, yeah, basically like things not, don't ever do this at camp type thing.
yeah,
And she did not like that video. I forgot about that.
it was great.